So I don't know why I felt led to do my testimony. Not many people know it. Um, it's pretty powerful. At least I think, because I went through it. But I'll just get down to it. So I grew up in a pretty addiction family. I believe addiction was a generational curse. Um, Mother grew up with her addictions, grandmother, great grandmother, and I began to see that not only in my sisters but in mine as well. Um, but that's okay because the Lord, He's broken that off of me. So I went to a boarding school, got close to Christ. That's when I fully became a Christian. But after I got really big into pornography after that, and masturbation as well as weed. I smoked weed every day, all the way up to college, basically. And throughout that time, the enemy was just weaving his way into my life through the lust and stuff. And I began to date one of my neighbors, and she was 15 and I was 18. And throughout that time, we began to not only like each other a lot, we began to become really lustful to the point where she'd sneak over to my house when my mother went to work, and we do worldly things with each other. And it got to the point where I was about to go to college, and I told her, "Hey, I think it's smart that we split up." And that began to crush her and devastate her because she couldn't understand why we couldn't be together anymore. But that changed her emotional state. And sorry, I got a phone call. But as that changed her emotional state, she began to change, and her family saw that, so they took her phone and saw all of our conversations and everything that we have been doing with each other, and they called the police. And a couple days later, I got a couple police at the door, and they said, "Hey, we're doing an investigation from the neighbor, and we just want to hear your side of it." And so everything within me wanted to lie. Everything within me wanted to lie, like everything. But then I heard that small voice say, "Just tell them the truth." So I did. I wrote down the statement, everything that I could remember from the beginning to the end, and everything that we've done. And from that point on, um, I thought everything was okay. I told the truth. I like I'm good. But then 3 days later, I had not two, but I had I think 7 or 8 police officers come and arrest me. And I thought everything was cool at first until I sat in the car, in the police car, and I heard the dispatch say, "My name, Christopher Rayner, with 7 felony accounts that hold $5,000 each charge and 15 years each charge, guys." So I had over 100 years in prison with over $35,000 in debt, of which my family would have had to take that on. At that point, I began to freak out and get really frustrated. This is like the longest. What took 2 hours felt like an eternity of them booking me, handcuffs behind my back for over 2 hours in pain and wrist. And then I got put into a jail cell. And it wasn't until after I got older and realized they put me in a jail cell that was like 6 by 6. It was like a solitary because of my charges. They couldn't put me in general population because I probably wouldn't beat up for the type of charges that I had, you know, all because of my lustful desires that the enemy was trying to destroy me. But the Lord had a plan. About 10 and a half hours later, I got bailed out by my mother and my grandmother and this began one of the hardest times in my life. The Lord was like, "Look, you can either search me or you can sit in this and just let it play out." So I began to search him in prayer and worship. And through that time, we got to the point where lawyers were telling me, "Look, I'm going to go to jail." And through that moment, my grandmother said I literally turned white. Look at my skin. She was like, "You turned white." And so I went outside to breathe, and I looked up at the sky, and I said, "Lord, whatever you want me to do, I will do it." And so between that time, I began to pray and to worship a lot. And the Lord began to reveal to me that you will be saved. And you know, when your faith gets so strong that you know the Lord's about to do something, and that's how my faith got. That's how my faith is still today because of that moment. And so through the lawyer process, we got a great lawyer who only wanted $5,000, and he was the head of the public defender's office for 9 years, and he branched off to start his own practice. wow, the Lord is so good. He told me at the end that I was most likely going to spend time in jail, no matter what. But through these couple months of praying and fasting and meeting with the lawyer waived every single thing. I only had to attend the actual trial. I didn't have to attend any meetings in front of judges or anything. The Lord was so good in this. He made sure I was taken care of. But as I was outside one day, the grandmother of this girl walked up to me and said, "We know you're a Christian man. We know you're going to college soon, and we know you were just doing what kids do these days, and so we are going to drop the charges." Whew, thank you, Lord. But wait, I went and told my mother, and she was so excited and praising and worshiping. But she reminded me that this is a state case, meaning the state could take up the charges, which was good. But I already began to see the Lord working, so my faith didn't waver. So I think 2 or 3 days before the actual trial, we were going to meet my lawyer. And an hour before we were going to meet him, my grandmother walks in. She was going to take us to meet the lawyer. And she receives a phone call from the lawyer. And I think she put it on speaker. And my lawyer said these words. She said, "I don't know how this happens. This never happens with the charges that you have. But the state has dropped the charges." The Lord is so good, y'all. As I met the lawyer that same day, he says, "Someone up there is looking for you. Don't waste this." So not only did I have my charges dropped, even the payment of $35,000 dropped, but 2 weeks later, I was in college. Guys, the Lord is so good. The Lord is so good. When you put your faith and trust in Him, He would do everything the enemy that throws at you for your good and His glory. So don't ever doubt, don't ever waver that the Lord is not there for you. God bless.